Alright, so now we are finally live after technical difficulty after technical difficulty. But I guess just gives you an appreciation for how smoothly things usually go when they don't go so smoothly. It's kind of like technology spoils us a lot in some ways because we're used to things being really intuitive, really fluid, really dynamic, and really smooth in their operations. When we're not, it's very annoying. So here we are, ready for another live Q&A session. I believe someone had submitted a question earlier. I'm going to pull up the YouTube video real quick. Someone asked what kind of soap and shampoo I used, I think. Let me just double check and make sure that was the actual question. Yeah, so for my face, hair, and body, my cleaning products are pretty simple. I usually don't really use soap or shampoo that often. Obviously, I shower regularly, but I don't use like harsh things on my skin too regularly, depending on how dirty I feel. But if I do use soap, it would be Dr. Bronner's because that's just I don't know, it's really simple, really basic. You can use it for a lot of things. And you can buy one bottle and it'll last a long time because you can dilute it down and it's still really good. So that covers face and pretty much everything. For hair, usually just use some good shampoo, which had been purchased at the local health food store. I don't really remember the brand. I've used the neem oil or Theraneem stuff before. They have pretty good products. My girlfriend actually just bought some stuff from Living Libations, some shampoo and conditioner from them, which was pretty expensive, but I haven't actually used it yet. Maybe I'll use it tonight after I get done with here. How often do I wash my hair? I don't really know, honestly. Usually just when I feel like I need to, or if I've obviously been sweating or been outside a lot, then I'll do it. But I usually don't have any sort of regimen on it. Obviously, back in the day, I used to just, oh, I'm showering, I gotta wash my hair every day. And I don't really think that's too good because you just can drain your hair of its oils. But obviously, I don't have very oily hair. Some people have naturally oily hair, so they have to wash it more often. Otherwise, their hair just gets greasy. So it's just kind of on an as needed basis and whenever I feel like it. But that's what I use. Pretty simple, pretty basic stuff. Nothing too fancy. And then in the future, I think I'm going to get into um, making my own shampoo and conditioner, and just for fun and just to see what it's all about. So maybe that'll be coming sometime in the near future. And next question is, we are still waiting for the awesome kombucha recipe. Will you be sharing it anytime soon? Yeah, I'll definitely be sharing it soon. It's just going to be on my membership site. That's going to be called Hyperion Academy, which I'm actually almost done with the site. It's been kind of an ordeal getting it built and getting everything finalized, a lot of details, a lot of stuff, a lot of moving pieces that have to be synchronized to flow smoothly. But the good news is it's almost done, and I already have a lot of pre-recorded content that I've been compiling over the last month or two that's going to be loaded on that site. And then the kombucha recipe and all the kombucha how-to stuff is going to be on there, as well as a whole ton of other really cool things, like the Reishi Quest video series that I filmed over the last month, a whole lot of other different recipe videos, and then interviews with people that are teachers for me and people that I really look up to. And then on top of that, for the first month, I'm going to be doing an online course or online class that's going to be called the Longevity Blueprint. And it's basically going to be really, really good. That's all I can say about it right now. But long answer to a simple question. That's going to be available on that site soon, which all those details will be coming. So yes, I'll be doing that. Next question is, are there any new nootropics that you suggest or combinations of which? Nootropics for me, I really like the brain on, the blue-green algae. For me, it just rocks all around. I mean, the nutritional benefits, of course, but also the brain, cognitive enhancing effects. It's just on point. I'm actually working on a brain formula right now called Genius, and it's going to be a synergistic blend of a few different nootropics. But the blue-green algae is going to be one of the top things. Other than that, L-theanine is always great. 5-HTP and L-theanine together, always pretty good. Um, Further than that, I mean, Bacopa, I've noticed has sort of short-term enhancing effects. I'm trying to think. Reishi spore oil for me is near and dear to my heart. It's probably not classified as a nootropic, but for me it has definite effects on the mind and the nervous system. So that hopefully answers your question. Again, for me, my favorite and the one that's the most sustainable and beneficial is probably the blue-green algae extract. It's relatively pricey, I guess, depending on what you compare it to, but the dosage is rather small and you get so many benefits from it. So next question is, I notice a lot of your videos deal with the creation and influencing of individual reality, and I wanted to know what you consider to be the most important or amazing thing you've been able to manifest in your life. Talk about a question and a half. That's a good question. I mean, I would say probably my Kung Fu teacher, my Bagua teacher, Qigong teacher, whatever you want to call it. That's a top thing. Obviously, friends and family have to be up there as well. Having a network and a foundation of people who are supportive and nurturing in ways that really help you become more of yourself or allow that space. That's a great thing. And obviously, I think those are really, really important things which money can't really buy. I can talk about material things like, oh, I got this, oh, I got that, or I made this, or I made that. And those are all definitely huge um, manifestations as well. But definitely, my relationship with, my Kung Fu teacher is tops on the list. Relationships with friends and family, my girlfriend, those are all top as well. Secondary to that, just being able to live the life that I want to live on the terms that I want to live it on. Meaning, there was this mainstream path as far as, go to school, go to college, get a job, get married, have kids, buy a house, work for 40 years, and retire. And for me, it didn't never really felt right or never really resonated. So being able to just live my life and focus on the things that I want to focus on, the things that are important to me, it's a huge accomplishment in and of itself. And it's just something that every day I remind myself, like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, how did this happen? So that's definitely some of the major things. And what all these things that I'm saying here are worthwhile and meaningful to me, but to other people, they're just like, who cares? Why would you want that? So it's not necessarily about manifesting someone else's vision. It's more so about being you, expressing your own uniqueness in whatever that vision is for you. For another person, it might be going to school, going to college, getting a job, getting married, having kids. That might be what is really fulfilling for them, or that might be what they need, or that might be really who they are and everything about that. And that's fine. It's not really good or bad. It's more so what's the right fit, what feels the best, what's fulfilling and makes us happy, and what's nourishing on all these different levels. So for me, I think that's really what it boils down to. And I think all these different things are means to an end. Like, sure you can meditate, or sure you can take psychedelics, or sure you can change your diet or do all these things, but they're just tools or means to an end. But what is that end? How meaningful are certain experiences if you are miserable in your relationships, if you hate your job, if you're unable to express yourself, if you're unable to fulfill, who you are, if you're unable to grow and expand as a person? like what is the real value of that? So these things, at least to me, are a means to an end, which is what those different things would have listed. So I mean, I could probably go on this topic for a while as far as, going through old journals to where I wrote lists of like, oh, I want this or oh, I want that, and then it happened. Pretty much everything on the list happened. Things that I wanted, experiences, people, events, and so I mean, those are definitely all pretty exciting things that I've been able to manifest. So I'm not just saying that to be like braggadocious or just like talk about how cool I am. To me, well, first I'm just answering the question, but I think the purpose of it should be is to be inspiring and say, hey, wow, this random dude over here was able to do X and Y. Maybe I can. And for me, that's why I like to, watch success stories or read people's books or read people's biographies or hear people's stories or just, read books, educate myself, whatever. So, there's two ways to approach situations like that. Some people say, oh, well, they think they're this or they think they're that or they think they're better than everyone else or they achieve this, who cares? But in another way, we can say, wow, they achieved this, they did that. Maybe I can achieve something. Maybe I can do something. Maybe if I take action, maybe if I take the next step, maybe one day I can be, there. Maybe one day I can have this or I can have something. So really, that's another valuable point, and that's why I really have gone on for the last 5 minutes on this question. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully it answers the question. What do I think of the Beatles? Definitely one of the most influential bands in the history of music, history of humanity. Not a huge fan of all of their albums, but definitely a fan of probably starting from Magical Mystery Tour and what's the other album? What's the album before that? Revolver. Those two albums, really good. The White Album, not a big fan. Sgt. Pepper, okay. But as far as what they did for music and for society and culture, pretty massive, pretty profound. Next question is, how long of a cycle with L-theanine would you say is safe for someone with extreme stress levels? Meaning how long could you stay on it? Probably, I mean, it's an amino acid, so it's a food thing. So really, from what I've seen and read, there's really no accumulated toxicity. The only thing that can happen is over a long enough period of time, your body can kind of get bored of it. So for that reason, maybe it's good to, take a day off once a week or take a week off once a month. Something like that, depending on how it can fit into your lifestyle. And for me, a dosage of like 300 or 400 milligrams of L-theanine per day, at least from what I've read and experienced, is pretty safe. And you could probably do that for a while because it's just an amino acid. And unless you have some sort of allergy or some sort of significant imbalance, it really should be okay. But again, always pay attention and listen to your body, because if something is rubbing you the wrong way, then definitely it's time to take a step back. Next question is, let's see. I'm going on tour with my band soon. Any tips on eating clean on the road? Definitely pack some snacks with you before you go, so that if you find yourself in a bind, you will be okay. Whether that's like bars or you make your own bars or you take, a little trail mix or whatever it is that you can take with you that can be somewhat satiating in the interim, whether it's like primal snacks or it's like a primal trail mix, depending on if you're omnivore or vegan, vegetarian. Obviously, you're gonna have to adapt differently. But if you're omnivore, there's like a, what is it? It's like primal trail mix or something, which that can be very satiating, can get you over the bumps. Other than that, try to seek out health food stores, organic stores, Whole Foods, Wild Oats, whatever it is, wherever you are. Farm to table, local restaurants, wherever you are. Other than that, just try to do the best that you can, and take some digestive enzymes with you, and try to score some kombucha wherever you are, and that can really help out as well. But I would just follow those few things, and then again, just try to do the best you can, and use Google or use Yelp or whatever, and try to scope out and find the best option that you can based on the situation. So hopefully that answers the question. Next question. Why have you been in all of these different settings lately? Um, most of my videos are in my apartment, but I was in New Jersey for, let's see, I was in Tennessee for like a week, and then I was in New Jersey for like 2 weeks. And then now I'm house and dog sitting for a week, so that's why I'm at a different setting, which will actually be in a totally different setting coming up soon, but I'll talk more about that later on when we get closer to that. So that answers that question. Next question is, any experiences with DMSO? Never worked with it, never taken it. From my understanding, it's a great solvent. It's a great way to really push things into the system. I've worked with MSM a lot, which is similar but different. But as far as DMSO, haven't used it. But from what I've read, you just got to be really careful how you use it because it is such a powerful solvent. Like for example, if you put it on your skin and then you put on a shirt laden with chemicals or laden with detergents, your skin's going to be so permeable from that solvent and you're going to pull that in. So you have to be pretty careful and cautious of that. But there's books written on DMSO that go into more detail. So I would just recommend getting those if you're going to work with it and just educate yourself on that. Next question is, what are your thoughts on colloidal silver? I've honestly never used it. From what I understand, pretty powerful antiviral, antibacterial. So if you're in a situation where you need a strong antiviral, antibacterial substance, then it's probably a good thing, along with oregano oil or garlic extract, things like that. But to me, that doesn't seem as it's a tonic substance. Sounds like it's something that's reserved for a small situation where you might need a potent antibiotic. So if you have a sore throat or you're starting to get something come on, then boom, hit the colloidal silver. Next question is, I want to study traditional Chinese medicine. Where should I start? Well, that would depend on what sort of path that you want to go on. Do you want to be an acupuncturist or an herbalist and open your own practice in a brick and mortar sense? Or do you just want to study and learn about it in an amateur sort of way, meaning just for your own benefit, your own knowledge? Those would be two totally different paths. If you just want to start learning and figure out more about it, I would probably buy this book called Between Heaven and Earth. That's a really good book, a good intro book to the different concepts, the 5 elements, the 5-phase theory, all these different things. I would definitely start with that. Secondary to that, probably just pop on Amazon and look around. The Web That Has No Weaver is also another pretty good book, and those are both just classical things that people recommend for TCM. If you want to look at more of the spiritual, energetic, psychological side, I would recommend a book called 5 Spirits, and just type that in on Amazon and you'll see it. Great book, highly, highly recommend it. Next question is, what do you think about the benefits of drinking wheatgrass? I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, I've drank my fair share of wheatgrass. There was probably a year where I had like 8 ounces a day or something. Just like big, tall glasses taller than this of just wheatgrass, just chugging it. Do that and then have a 32-ounce green juice. And that was like every day for a year or two. So, I mean, there are definite benefits that can be there as far as just the cleansing, the detoxification. So if you need to cleanse, you need a detox, or you feel constipated, then definitely hit that up. But I feel like it's an essential, absolute must part of your diet and lifestyle. I mean, it depends on what the rest of your diet is like. For me, I prefer algae over wheatgrass just because it's a little easier. But I mean, for example, when I was in New Jersey, I was at a restaurant eating lunch every day, and they had a shot of wheatgrass, so I got a shot of wheatgrass and a green juice every day with lunch. It was there, and it was tasty. Can't say it changed my life or transformed who I am, but for that week it was good and it was fun. And if I'm at a place that has wheatgrass, I'll get it, but I don't seek it out, and it's not like I grow it in my kitchen and juice it every day. So I mean, it can be really amazing if you need that, but it can be a bit of a headache if you have to grow it. But if you can go to a place and just get it, pretty easy. Next question, what is the safest way to detox before and after mercury filling removal? That's a really tricky, tricky thing. A few basic things, chlorella in higher doses, making sure that it's cracked cell wall, infrared saunas just to keep things moving, regular exercise to keep your lymphatic system moving and all of the fluids in your body circulating. From there, trying to think, just honestly having a good diet is obviously a good thing. I'm trying to think what else. Things like bentonite clay can be helpful, and zeolites. Both of those things can be helpful. So really all four of those things, or five of those things, chlorella, infrared saunas, zeolites, clay, and obviously regular exercise. That's a good simple thing. But if you have high levels, you have like confirmed tested mercury toxicity, it's a really delicate thing, and you really should work with a practitioner to try to handle that, because it can get out of hand really fast, and because it is such a delicate thing, you really need to be careful and conscious with how you approach it. And it's not something that you just jump into one day and then forget about it. Oh, I'll jump back into it another day. Like kind of like once you really start digging it up and shaking up the cup, you gotta follow it out and follow through until the end. Otherwise, sometimes you can just stir up all the toxins and your body will just reabsorb. So those are some basic things, but again, if you're really going to go for it and do it, hook up with a local practitioner and work with someone and get tested regularly so you can see what's actually happening. Next question is, what do you think about wine? Do you think it is a problem drinking it every day? Just depends on the person. If you have alcohol issues or alcoholism running in the family, or if you have like psychological reasons, then something to be looked at. But purely on a health level, probably not. There's actually a lot of studies and stuff that shows that wine can actually be beneficial in moderate amounts. So just really, if you're pounding like a bottle of wine every day, that could be a little problematic. But if you're having a glass or two with dinner or whatever, then no big deal. I wouldn't worry about it. I'm actually going to be doing a video series on healthy alcohol or drinking, and really going to talk about this in much more detail and depth, and show and illustrate some different alcohols and wines that I particularly enjoy that actually are quite tasty and have actual benefits for your health. So that'll be coming soon. So hopefully that answers the question. Be right back making one of your awesome ice cream elixirs. Nice. I wish you could send me some right now because I'm a little bit hungry, but I'm drinking this just to suffice for now. Next question is, do you have any concerns of getting mad cow disease from consuming organic grass-fed whey? No. Thought has never crossed my mind. I was pretty sure that the real issues of mad cow disease was just due to the actual ways in which the cows were raised and what they were fed and the environments in which they were raised in. To me, I thought that was always the cause, but obviously I could be wrong. So getting organic grass-fed whey protein from at least the stuff that I have, no concern, no concern whatsoever. Let's see, next question. Coming in. Oh yeah, what are your thoughts on juice fasting? I mean, if you're overweight and you need to lose weight, and your lifestyle can allow that, and your budget can allow that, then it's a great thing. It's not something I would particularly do right now because I'm already, a slim, slender guy with a really high metabolism. So it's really not appropriate for me. When I weighed like 180 something pounds, I was really overweight, and really addicted to a lot of bad foods, might have been a good idea. So it really just depends on where you're at. It can be a great strategy or it can be the worst strategy ever, depending on where you're at. But I've definitely known a lot of people that have lost weight and gotten rid of health conditions and really detoxed and improved their health. So yeah, it can be a great thing. It just depends on where you're at now, what you need to do, what your goals are. Number two, if your lifestyle can allow it. Meaning, if you work a really hard, hectic, demanding job, it might be a little challenging to just not eat and drink juice all the time. But if you have a lifestyle that can allow it, then great. So those are my thoughts on that. Next question is, what are some energy dense foods for weight gain, especially shelf stable foods if possible? For weight gain, that's I would say probably just have to get to things which are more calorically dense. It's probably going to come down to animal products because they're typically more calorically dense than plants, or things like fats, oils, whether that's raw organic grass-fed butter, organic ghee, or coconut oil, things like that. Those things can be helpful for weight gain. Shelf stable, not too sure. I mean, maybe like lentils, because they're pretty shelf stable. Quinoa, but I don't know that those would necessarily be like weight gain, because it just would depend on your metabolism. So I would just go through those few things and just to start to increase calories over time. And even if you can do like a protein shake or like an elixir or smoothie or something once or twice a day just to get more calories, more protein in an easily digested, smooth way, that can help out as well. But that's what I would say on that. What is your opinion on airline food in general? I usually don't eat it, so don't really have a huge opinion. I mean, it is what it is. It's airline food, but I don't have an expert opinion, given that I haven't eaten it in a long time. Not that I am knocking it or trying to be condescending. I'm just saying that the flights that I've taken have been 4 hours or less, so I just haven't really needed to eat. But again, if you don't want to eat it, again, bring some snacks, eat a meal before you get on the plane, and eat less. You know, bring some snacks, bring some stuff with you, and just chill out because you're just sitting there, so you don't necessarily need to be pounding food all the time, anyways. So that's what I would say. Let's see. I gotta get back over here because oh, keep losing the questions. Sorry about that. Do you warm up before stretching? How? If I'm doing the active isolated stretching, I typically don't do any warm-ups prior. If I'm going to work out, I have a series of warm-ups that I do that's part of the system that I do. So it's kind of warm-ups, but it's kind of stretching. With anything, you don't want to jerk your body around. You don't want to be like doing like this sort of thing where you're like yanking your muscle around. No, if you're going to stretch, gentle release. Gentle, like you always want to be very gentle with your body, not just throwing yourself around. So hopefully that answers that question. Next question is, I'm doing a 30-day juice fast, only drinking 3 juices a day plus kombucha and water. Are any essentials that should be in my juice? As far as the base, keep it green. Celery, cucumber, lemon, that tastes good. If you need to sweeten it, add a little bit of like Granny Smith apple, but only like the minimal amount that you can, because if you start doing too much fruit or too much sweet things, you can just throw your blood sugar all over the place. So I would just keep a base of celery, cucumber, lemon, find some greens that you like, and then go to town with that. If you want to add in some beets, you can add a little bit of beets, add in some green apple, you'll have something pretty delicious there. That's the base I always use for my juices when I make them or buy them, and then you can just add in other stuff on top of that. Let's see. Should you detox your liver after a tattoo? Um, I mean, the thing is, even if you like clean it out, but the source of toxicity is still there, it's just gonna sort of fill right back up. But it's also kind of a misnomer because your body is detoxing all the time. It's cleansing all the time. It doesn't stop. So, if you feel like something happened or you feel some sort of shift, then, things like Shazandra, infrared saunas, chlorella, clay, those things can help to pull harmful things from the body. But as far as like a full-on liver cleanse or fast, I probably wouldn't jump on it. But if you feel like you need to do it, then by all means. Next question is, will we ever see any guided meditations from you? Probably on my membership site. Um, some from me, some from friends of mine who are more adept at such things, being yoga teachers, etc. But I have my 6 Healing Sounds course that I released like 3 years ago or something. It was like the first course I ever did. It's like $12. Um, and again, it was my first thing ever. So that, I guess, is kind of guided meditation. So there's just that. In the future, yeah, maybe um, on my site. Secondary to that, I'll definitely have my friends who are yoga teachers and who teach meditation yoga professionally. They'll definitely come on and contribute some really cool stuff. Next question is, what did you eat when you were into bodybuilding? I did not eat well. I'll tell you that. Just ate whatever, basically. You know, frozen pizzas, frozen spaghetti, a lot of steaks, a lot of cheeseburgers, a lot of foot-long subs. Like, I didn't really know. I was just in a different place then, so I didn't really pay any attention at all. I was like 16, 17, 18, somewhere in that range. I think it was like 17. I don't really remember that. It's kind of a blur, but it was in that time frame. Do you have any recommendations for easily digestible assimilated vegan protein powder? Probably Sun Warrior is one of the best. It just depends on what you like. I use Sun Warrior, I've used hemp, I've used pretty much all the plant ones, and I just never really agreed with them for my metabolism. But out of all of them, Sun Warrior or the raw sprouted rice proteins are pretty good. So I'd probably go for that if you are looking for like a vegan protein. Am I concerned about solar flares that have been erupting, including the X class that went off today? I mean, yes and no. Concerned to a degree, but unconcerned just because the process of nature is always changing and always moving and going through different phases. Um, obviously it would suck if there were, electrical outages or things of that nature, or things that would really be an inconvenience to the quality of our life. Obviously things are a concern like that, but there's nothing we can really do about it. So I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about it or worrying about it. I know a lot of people flood Facebook with like things like that and try to say, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. People have been doing this for years and things usually don't happen. Like, typically people who are very carried away by an emotion have a really short-term memory. Meaning, people who claim all sorts of things are going to happen don't remember all the things which preceded it, which were claimed that were going to happen but didn't. And whether that's things that they did or things that the people they're listening to claimed that were going to happen but didn't, people just get caught up and forget, oh yeah, well this guy's claiming this is going to happen, but the other 50 to 100 things he claimed that were going to happen over the last ever many years, none of them happened, so the odds of this happening, pretty low. So for that reason, I don't really give a lot of weight to it or really spend a lot of time thinking about it. So, but obviously, I mean, the state of our existence right now is definitely in a huge state of change and flux, and things are just moving and transforming faster than ever before. So things are certainly going on right now. How and what are they? I don't think anyone really knows. Next question. Let's see. Getting there. What kind of interactions are there between the calming herbs you suggest, mucuna, reishi, 5-HTP, L-theanine, and caffeine? Would using one cancel each other out? Yeah, it seems like kind of a waste, to be honest. I mean, you can do reishi like in coffee or something. People do that a lot. I've done that, and it can take the edge off a little bit. Done the same thing with mucuna. So I mean, you definitely could combine them, but it's like your results are going to be a little mixed up and a little haphazard because you're trying to take your body two different directions. Now, if you're someone who's just hopelessly addicted or needs coffee but really wants it to take the edge off, then you could start to add in some of these things just to take the edge off. But if you're someone who's really, really trying to chill out and relax and anti-stress and get rid of anxiety, then I'd probably just remove the cause in the first place and really set the deck in your favor as much as you can, meaning remove the major cause, which would probably be the coffee, which for most people, I mean, coffee is a stimulant. Not to say that's a bad thing, because sometimes we need stimulants. Stimulants aren't inherently bad, it's all in how we use them. Pound them every single day, that can eventually take a toll on our cardiovascular system, our nervous system, as well as our endocrine system with our adrenals and all those different things. So, to me, I'm not a huge fan of regular consumption of stimulants. It's more of like a special sort of thing, but if someone needs stimulants, I feel like things like green tea and yerba mate are a little better. But then eventually I think it's better to ask, what can I do in my life and my lifestyle to make it to where I don't need to rely upon a stimulant? So hopefully that answers that question. Next one. I keep losing it. Let's see. Questions keep coming in. Let's see. Any advice for those of us starting out with a health-based website? I mean, yeah, there's a lot to be said. I would say actually have something to bring to the table. Have something unique, meaning don't just regurgitate what other people say. So a lot of people just hear other people and then repeat it, and that's fine, but it's just not. It's like, what's really being added? What's really the point? And you have to ask, well, what is my level of commitment to this? What is my plan for this? Is it just something I'm just going to start a blog and maybe do an article here or there? Is it something that's really going to be part of who I am? What am I really going to contribute? What am I really going to express? What unique point of view can I bring to the conversation? How can I take where the information is and take it to the next level? And that's how I would approach it. But if you just want to start a website and make money or get AdSense revenue or get traffic, or I don't know, it depends on what your goal is. So I guess my advice would be get really clear on the picture and what it is, and then create valuable stuff which really helps people, and that can take care of a lot of stuff in and of itself. Let's see. Next. Alright, do you think it would be okay to do ab exercises like crunches with a shoulder tendon injury? Probably be really, really gentle or really conscious. But yeah, I mean, you won't know until you try. So if you get into the position and it hurts, then you should probably lay off. But if you do that and like, oh yeah, it doesn't hurt, and you can be really gentle and really calm, then try it out. So, you just have to listen to your body. There's really no other way around it. Next question is, when you have a dopamine deficiency, can you bring it back to normal levels through natural herbs? I guess it would depend on if that's an actual measured dopamine deficiency or just a perceived relative dopamine deficiency. So, I mean, obviously taking things like Makuna or eating well, starting to have a better diet, those things can help. Um, Obviously, building a solid lifestyle foundation of, you know, diet, obviously, breathing and meditation, exercise, those are really crucial things. So to me, that's how I would look at it. I would say, okay, let me add in these herbs or add in these foods, and then how can I add in this meditation? How can I learn to calm my mind? How can I learn to relax the nervous system? And those two things together then can start to create results. Because that's really what holistic health is about. It's about whole, being whole, not just saying, not just treating symptoms by taking pills. That's really what pharmaceutical medicine is about. Oh, you have this symptom, here, take this pill. You have that symptom, take this pill. And it never looks to say, well, what's the cause? Why is this here? What imbalance is here? What excess is here? What deficiency is here? What lifestyle factors? What mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual factors are causing this? So it's looking at all of these things can then be a deeper thing. But if you don't really care about that and you just want something quick and simple, yes, herbs can definitely help to start to balance out neurotransmitters and hormone levels in the body. Next question, what do you think about meditation for someone with schizophrenia, bipolar, or other delusional paranoid disorders? Probably not recommended, and only recommended under the strict supervision of a teacher. That's what I would say. Otherwise, those things need to be addressed first by working with someone, and it might not necessarily be that natural. It might be pursuing the mainstream approach for a while till we can get back to a place of balance, and then starting to look at more natural things. So that's what I would say about that. It's probably contraindicated and not recommended. You mentioned measuring dopamine. How do you go about measuring such levels, and what are some things you find helpful to have measured? As far as measuring neurotransmitter levels, I don't know if there's actually a test for that. I mean, there probably is. I'm going to Google it real quick. To me, this at a juncture like this, it's good to, yeah. So you can get neurotransmitter levels checked through tests. You can get your hormone levels checked. So I would definitely recommend that if you feel like there's a real deficiency. And if you just Google those tests, you can find services and providers in your area. For me, the test that I've done up until now would be just a hormone panel. That was pretty cool. That was really helpful. So things like that can be really beneficial, especially over the long term. So that's what I would say. Let's see, let me go back. What are your thoughts on Feng Shui, and do you recommend any books or instructors on it? I don't really know of anything, to be honest, so I can't really answer that. Sorry. Next question, does chaga have some of the same effects on the mind and spirit as Reishi does for you? People definitely notice like calmness or effects from chaga. I don't know that's necessarily the same as Reishi, but people definitely notice a nervous system effect from it. Does it have the same spiritual, uplifting, enhancing effects as Reishi? I don't think so. But it still can definitely have nervous system and certain effects on the mind where it can be sort of calming because of the way that it influences the HPA axis or the hypothalamus pituitary and adrenal axis. So anytime you start to modulate that, you're going to affect the mind, you're going to affect the emotions, and you're going to affect the nervous system. Next question. What is your opinion on the difference between Reishi from North America, Suge versus Lucidum? If you're referring to, say, like wild Reishi, Wild reishi can be really awesome, or it can be pretty worthless. I mean, either way, it's cool to just go into nature and find it. That process in and of itself is so valuable, so worthwhile. But then there's other factors, how it's grown, the environment, the year, you know, things like that. So you might find a wild reishi and it can just totally rock your world. You could find a wild reishi and you're like, nah, I don't really feel anything. So the beauty of the cultivated variety is that they control all these environments or all the aspects of the environment so they can create the best reishi to have the most, you know, measurable active constituents of the gonaderic acids, polysaccharides, triterpenes, things like that. So both are great. I mean, it's kind of like, well, what's better, Lamborghini or Ferrari or Bentley? It's like, well, they're all pretty nice. It's just a matter of, you know, what's accessible to you, what's, you know, around you. So they're both good for regular everyday long-term consumption. I would probably go with a high quality, you know, like Dunwood reishi extract. But if I can get my hands on it, which I have and I do, then wild reishi is definitely in the mix as well. It's just fun to have in there. Let's see. Next question. How would you collect and consume the spores on wild specimens? Really, the only way you'd want to do that is just if they're already on the mushrooms, you can just break up the tea. From what I understand, you don't really want to put raw mushroom spores into your body, just because it's not really too ideal if you think about it. It's a raw reproductive essence of a mushroom and you're just eating it. It's kind of like eating raw mushrooms. Sometimes it's usually not a good idea. And then for when you get commercial spore products, they've had the cell wall cracked so that it's actually bioavailable and absorbable to the body. So secondary to that, if you find a wild reishi with spores on it, break it up, throw it in your tea, and then you'll get some of those benefits because they'll be extracted into the water. Let's see. Would it be beneficial if I gave my dog reishi? Yeah, people definitely have given their pets reishi. You just want to start off with a small dose, like really, really small, depending on the size of the dog. I would look up the book called Adaptogens, and there's a whole section in that book about herbs for pets, and it has like a chart for like body weight dosage. And I would just follow those guidelines and then just pay attention because obviously it's your dog, and I'm, you know, not going to be liable and tell you to give your dog a pound of reishi. You probably just read that book, follow those guidelines, and make up your own decision. But if I had a dog and I had my own dog, I would give them herbs all the time, just in smaller doses of the hot water extracts. What is your typical diet like? Example, raw, vegan, vegetarian, whole foods, etc. Usually my diet's pretty boring. Sorry. People have always asked about that, but I usually never answer it because it's like, I'm not the diet guy, and I don't really want to be that role. So often people talk about diet like it's like, what clan are you in? Are you in the cool kids? Are you this? Are you that? Sometimes people are kind of religious about that, or sometimes people are kind of condescending. Well, oh, didn't you know that if you eat this, it does that? Or didn't you know that, you know, you have to have this enzyme and that? It's like, well, you know, yes, but I don't really need your opinion on this right now. Um, so, long story short, I've been through all the phases. Raw vegan for a couple of years, vegetarian for a couple of years, vegan for a couple of years, and now just omnivore, focusing on eating quality and eating right for my metabolism. Personally, have a high metabolism that runs best on proteins and fats. So diet focuses mainly around what I can get at the farmer's market, what's in season, and what's easily applicable. Usually I'll have an elixir one day, which is obviously not local. I'll have maybe one of those in the morning. For lunch, maybe eggs, maybe have a frittata, or might have an omelet with fermented vegetables and whatever other vegetables are around. Dinner, if I go out to eat, it's totally up in the air. If I cook at home, totally up in the air again. For example, tonight had eggplant, baked spaghetti squash, and then made a tomato sauce with some local grass-fed beef, and just ate all that together with some local goat cheese, and it was pretty tasty. So for me, that's typically how I do it. It's not really too crazy. It's pretty basic. It's just food. It's just straightforward. I think something that's tasty is actually good quality and hopefully keeps me satiated for a while. So that's pretty much it. If you can't get meat locally, would you or have you ordered online? I haven't, but I probably would if I couldn't. There's a lot of good sites that sell pastured grass-fed meats or even wild game meats. So I would definitely, do that if I couldn't get access to it. Might be a little more expensive, but it's your food you're putting into your body. If you can afford it, then I would definitely go for it. Yeah, I mean, I think for diet, it's usually better to just keep it simple and easy. People get really like carried away sometimes with diet, and I'm actually working on, or I actually just outlined a video all about this because I'll be on Facebook, or I'll see other people, and it's people's like bragging or a day in the life of X and Y. It's like, really? People bragging, 3 years raw vegan. It's like, so? I mean, what's your point? I mean, I mean, 28 years human being. It's like, really? Like, do I need to brag about that? Like, I mean, that's fine if that's what you're interested in. I mean, diet is an important piece of the puzzle, but it's just a piece of the puzzle. And to me, it's kind of like bragging, going around bragging that you learned basic arithmetic. It's like, yeah, 2 plus 2 is 4. It's like, well, you cracked the code on basic arithmetic. I mean, good job, but what about algebra? What about geometry? What about trigonometry? What about calculus? What about all these other more advanced expressions of what you could be doing? So for me, I see that as a big stumbling block for people. People come in and they maybe just overhaul their diet or become something or become, a label, whether that's vegan or vegetarian or raw vegan or primal or paleo or whatever. People give themselves a box, label, and then like, I've arrived. Certainty, safety is here. And it's like, okay, yeah, but the point of diet is for nourishment. So nourish what? For what? And in what ways? And then really it's like once that's in place, it's usually just forget about it and go on to something else. And it's kind of like if you lean on any one thing for too long, it's eventually going to collapse. And if you focus on one thing too much for too long, it eventually becomes an imbalance. And that can be anything. It doesn't have to be diet. It could be exercise. It could be a relationship. It could be a video game. It could be a business. It could be your job. It's not really. I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent, but anyways, I'm going to do a video on it. It's probably going to annoy people who are really have their self-identity tied up within like what they do or don't do or eat or don't eat, but it's just going to present a nice bigger picture for what I was just saying. Let's see. Have you ever tried hair mineral analysis? What's your take on it? Haven't tried it. There's pros and cons every way. I mean, some people will say, oh, hair mineral analysis is not accurate. You got to do blood. Some people say, oh, blood isn't accurate. You got to do hair. So for me, when I do those tests, I'll probably do both. Probably do a hair. Probably do a blood, just to see what it's all about. So that's my thoughts on that. If you have the cash and you're interested in it, it's worth a shot. I mean, it's fun. I mean, that's the whole thing about health is it should be doing it, should be doing things because it's fun, because it's an experiment, because it's something to do and see what it's about, and another view, another lens, another piece. So to me, that's how I look at it and how I would approach it. Let's see. I think I missed a few here. I currently studying naturopathy, but I find when I study, my mind constantly wanders and can't remember what I've read. Can you recommend anything to help me calm my mind and help with recall? Yeah, probably meditation and yoga and learning how to chill out and relax. That's one of the most important skills a human being can learn. It's actually how to use their nervous system and their mind in a more effective and efficient way. Other than that, there's a myriad of supplements and herbs that could be consumed, but the fact that you're aware of the problem is a good first sign because you're aware of it, so you can be reading and say, oh, my mind's wandering, okay, I'm going to come back. Oh, wait, my mind's wandering, time to come back. And just start developing that pattern, and then those gaps will get longer before you space out again. Also, just taking regular breaks and getting up and walking around and moving around, moving your body, and then coming back. That's a really important thing too. And then obviously looking at your diet, are you consuming a bunch of sugar? Are you consuming a bunch of things which are going to throw your blood sugar out of whack and make your mind all foggy? Are you eating really fluid, even foods that can really create a nice burn for your metabolism? So that's what I would say and what I would recommend. Let's see. Oh, a lot of stuff coming in. Let's see. Brandon, I love your approach to life. So anti-uptight, vegan, raw, anti-namaste. Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's cool to hear. But I only have that opinion because I was there for a while, so I know what it's like. I was that dude who was like, oh, I can't eat that. It's not raw. I can't eat that. No. Like, oh, it's warm. Oh, you took it above 118 degrees. I can't eat that. Like, oh, it's not 100% organic. I can't eat it. So it's like, I've been that militant, and it doesn't feel good. That's the fact of the matter, is it creates constraint, creates constriction, creates blockage, stagnation, and fixation in the body, which is the opposite of health. So then we have to ask, well, am I interested in health, or am I interested in pursuing this ideal? And it's not that one is better than the other, because we're all free to do what we want. If we feel like pursuing an ideal or a vision or a box is what we need to do, then me or no one else has any right to say, hey, you shouldn't do that. So if someone feels like they have to do it and that's what's right for them, then it's what's right for them. There was a time in my life where it was right for me, and I was in that zone, and then I realized, like, wait, this kind of sucks. I don't really like this anymore. So next question is, I have taken a series of herbs from my local health food store for detox purposes. I feel great, but I'm not entirely sure where to go from here. I'm not entirely sure where to go from there either. I'm not sure what the question is about. If you could be a little more specific, I could answer that. If you're, yeah, just tell me a little bit more about what you're talking about, and then I'll be able to compliment or comment. What are your thoughts on kava kava? It's fun. It's a fun herb. Definitely has helped a lot of people with stress and anxiety. For me, I typically reserve it for just when I want to really chill out and relax. But I really like that herb. It's pretty fun. And if there were kava bars here where I live, I would probably go on a regular basis and just drink kava juice a lot more. Let's see. Are you still trying to improve your eyesight? Yes and no. I mean, not as aggressively as I feel like I should. It's been one of those things that's been on my list for a while, but I've never really jumped on board. One thing that I do is pretty much every night I'll do some simple eye exercises. It's just simple, looking up, looking down, left, right, moving your eyes through all the different coordinates and doing circles and with the eyes, whatever. And just to relax the eyes a little bit and give them some movement, some circulation. So that's pretty much the extent of it, other than eating well and, taking breaks from staring at the computer screen for a few minutes and let your eyes readjust, things like that. But It's definitely a work in progress. So yeah, I would eventually like to be rid of glasses or at least really downgrade um, my prescription, which I feel like is I feel like it is possible to improve your eyesight. To what degree, I don't know, but I feel like it is possible to do that. So I just practice focus and energy. Um, let's see. Next question. What herb would you recommend to supplement cardiovascular health? Probably gynostemma. It's a great all-around herb, especially for the heart, especially for the cardiovascular system, for its adaptogenic properties and the way it influences the way the heart pumps. Top of that, it has an ability to increase nitric oxide production, which is really, really beneficial for the cardiovascular system. It's so beneficial that the dude that discovered it won the Nobel Prize. So for that reason, I'd say gynostemma or reishi. Those are great herbs for the cardiovascular system. Let's see. How many girlfriends have you had? I have no idea. I've never actually counted. Um, so that's that answer. I've had X amount. Um, Probably could have had more, definitely, but it's just picky. And there was definitely a few years in my life where I just really wasn't interested in that. Focused my energy in other places. So that's that question. Have I experimented with colloidal minerals? Um, Experimented with extra minerals, but not necessarily colloidal. Um, the stuff from Mineral Life I've experimented with, and it was like pretty decent. I don't. It's been a couple years. So I don't know if I necessarily noticed a huge difference. Um, but yeah, I would say instead of colloidal, probably angstrom would be a better way to go. Next question. Just got rhodiola. Have you ever tried it? What's your experiences with it? Rhodiola is a pretty awesome herb as well. Um, I definitely think it's pretty sweet. But I don't really work with it too much. And I know some people that have done it for like a long period of time have kind of a come down or withdrawal from it because it can be pretty strong, but to me it doesn't strike me as super tonic. And again, even with rhodiola, it just depends on where it comes from, how old it is, because some is better than others. But as an all-around general herb, if it's like just making a tea out of it, it's pretty cool. And I definitely, it was one of the first herbs that I worked with. Definitely noticed some good energy from it, some good oxygenation, and some good like mental focus from it as well. Let's see, next question. Do you think it could be possible to obtain a zinc toxicity from Hushu and even copper depletion? It seems doubtful. I've never heard of anyone doing it. There's never been any research to suggest that. So it doesn't seem like it would really be a concern. So that would be my answer on that. I've been taking Hushu pretty regularly for 7 years and don't have any symptoms or signs of either of those. And then if you look at the history, the mythology, the research, everything around it, nothing is indicating that. So to me, for those reasons, it doesn't seem to be a concern. Next question. Do you believe in aliens? Maybe. It's hard to tell. Depends on how you define aliens. Our whole view or model of space-time is a little dubious and up for question. So definitely wouldn't rule those things out. What are your thoughts on the Tao Te Ching, and do you have a favored translation? Tao Te Ching, one of the greatest books I've ever read. Come back and reread it a lot. Favorite translation, I would say by Brian Brown Walker. Has a really good one. The original, there's another good one. What's the name? By English. If you look up Tao Te Ching by Fung in English, F-E-N-G in English, that's like the classic quintessential Tao Te Ching. So those two translations are really great. Next question is, how do you feel about soil-based organisms as probiotics? Not really too familiar with the idea, just because I usually just take the probiotics from custom probiotics or from just fermented foods. So as far as SBOs, I don't really know. I'm not really too up to date on it. Do I drink coconut water? Yes, I do. Um, pretty regularly, especially when it's been hot. It's really quite nice. Next question, have I ever been to California? Yes, a handful of times. Pretty nice in some areas. Um, Next question is, where do you classify tribulus extract, as you mentioned pine pollen and other herbs, as being unnecessary for their overpowering androgenic effects? I would probably throw tribulus in there as well. But again, it's not that these things are good or bad. It's just a matter of it depends. It depends on where you're at. It depends on where your hormone levels are. It depends on if you need that. If you need that androgenic boost. And it's really a contingent of that. I think those kinds of herbs are really best for middle-aged men who have definite low testosterone. It's probably not that ideal for teenage boys or men in their 20s. Not necessarily always a good idea. But I think if you're going to hit up these herbs, I think hormone testing is important and beneficial so that you can know where you're at and then you can know from that baseline what's actually happening, whether or not it's actually working, whether or not it's actually doing anything. And then you can catch yourself if you start to get to an extreme, and then you can say, okay, now I need to back off. So it's not that those things are good or bad or unnecessary. It's just they're definitely unnecessary for a certain class of people and really helpful for another class of people. So, and that's the thing with a lot of stuff is that it really comes down to it depends. It's not necessarily always a simple black and white answer. It's just kind of like that recent video that I did on drugs, or quote unquote drugs, depending on who you're talking to. And people, I think, really asked about that, and they just wanted, usually for me to be like, dude, man, drugs are awesome. Like, smoke weed every day. Like, people just assumed I was just going to be on the video, like, smoking a joint or, like, tripping on mushrooms or something. So, I didn't deliver that. I didn't deliver this simplistic black or white response. I gave something which is a lot more complex and holographic because really it just depends. There's so many variables to be taken into consideration that it's not always so crystal clear or black or white. But long answer to a simple question. For me, I quit taking things like pine pollen and tribulus because I had my hormones tested and the doctor thought I was on steroids because of my levels, and for that reason I backed off from that. So again, if you're going to take those herbs, it's important to understand who it's for, and then if you're going to do it, get your hormones tested. It's worth the money. Let's see, I gotta go back here. Next question is, one of my favorite videos you've done is one about nourishing the earth element. You did the vid a long while ago. What have you learned since that can help strengthen one's element? It was quite a while ago, but it depends on if it's just that element that we're speaking of. What I would say is to just look at the psychic functions of that energy system. What is it about? So if we're talking about the earth element, we're talking about the spleen. It's really about transportation, transformation, and those processes in the body. So how can we facilitate those processes in the body? Whether that's metabolism or whether that's in the mind through working through different issues or starting to sort out worry or overthinking or just overusing the mind. So those are correlated functions with that system that I would look at. Also just, eating proper foods that are nourishing for the spleen. Things which are more warm and easily digested. Also regular movement, exercise to keep the system moving. And then for the mind, working with those emotions associated with the earth element. Because in sort of the five element system, earth is in the middle and the other elements are going around it. And we can see that without the earth, none of us would be here right now. We wouldn't be able to eat, really wouldn't be able to be on this computer. So the earth is obviously the foundational piece. So hopefully that's helpful. I would, if you want to learn more about that, definitely get a book, get that book that I talked about earlier called Between Heaven and Earth. Read the chapter on the earth element. They have a lot of recommendations as far as like dietary things and mental emotional things that are pretty helpful as well. Let me scroll back. Do you think world peace is possible? Not peace as a lack of conflict or complete harmony, but as an action, such as war is an action? It's a tough question. I mean, anything is possible, I believe, but is there ever going to be a time on the planet where it's this like perfect golden age? Probably not. Meaning, people who are sort of new agey or spiritual think that there's going to be this global awakening and everyone on the earth is going to get it. But the odds of that are really, really unlikely. And usually what people mean by that is people mean, well, there's going to come a time on earth where everyone's going to think like I do and everyone's going to see the world like I do. Which is probably never going to happen. Because all 10 of us could see the same experience or see the same event, and we're going to come away with a different experience, a different narration of that. You know, is there a time where we might become so interconnected that we understand that bombing and killing each other and just really taking advantage of each other is bad? Maybe. Because with technology now, we're becoming more aware of things. Meaning there's been more social uprising and it's been more documented and it's been getting around faster. Meaning 50 years ago, if something happened, we only heard about it through the newspaper or through what they showed on TV. Now if something happens, everyone most likely has a camera phone and can get a YouTube or Twitter or Facebook account and boom, live footage right there of what's actually happening. So the layer of BS is getting smaller and smaller. So in many ways, technology can make us more empowered because we're starting to see how things are interconnected. So it's definitely possible, and it's definitely something worth working for. And really, it starts with each one of us in how we deal with other people and how we live our lives and how we orchestrate our lifestyles to the best of our abilities. Because obviously, at the end of the day, we're all still driving cars, we're all still living in houses, we're all still buying clothes from the store and going to the grocery. So all of our hands are dirty. No one is like, you know, an angel in this. It's kind of like when people act like they're holier than thou because they're a vegan or because they drive a Prius or something. It's like, well, you still live in a house and you wear clothes and you drive a car. So you're destroying the earth just like everyone else. Like, so yeah, I'm drinking kombucha, by the way. So, I mean, things are definitely changing fast and in very interesting ways for humanity right now. What's going to happen? Who knows? But hopefully everything is going to be for the better and people are hopefully going to get along a little bit more and cooperate a little bit more and just like actually grow up a little bit. But we'll see. So next question. Have you ever done, oh man, I keep losing the, are there any conspiracy theories that you believe? I don't really remember because it's been so long. I think I just believe in how humans work. And, you know, there's like this story that's put out on the news, and there's what's put in school books and newspapers and media. I usually don't believe that. In much in the same way, I don't really believe an alternate theory or a conspiracy theory. Because at the end of the day, it's all humans. It's all coming from humans. Whether that's a story or a theory or a perspective or a point of view, it's coming from a human being. So it's subject to a whole host of different distortions and filters. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that I believe in, but I definitely, we just look at how humans work, we can start to see that a lot of what we've been told and a lot of what they put is just silly. It's just made up. Um, so yeah, I guess I just don't really believe much of anything. Because what is it really to believe? It's just someone else's perspective, basically. I mean, whether that's history, whether that's the news, whether that's what is going on in the government, or what happened behind closed doors, or why people are meeting, or why people are gathering, or why this happened, or why that happened. At the end of the day, that's someone else's opinion, that's someone else's story. So why would you believe that? Because it's just a reflection of how they see the world. So then I think it's more important to think about, well, how do I see it? You know, what's really going on here? What is this really saying? What are the implicit things within this story? And when we start to get more into that zone, the news and society and media and culture and the history, it just gets to be more and more hilarious and absurd, because you just see the holes in things and you see how silly and simplistic, how diluted down things are, whether that's science or religion or spirituality or philosophy or politics. You just start to see like, wow, this is a little like immature. It's a little childish. Like, I thought these were adults, but they're not. So I think that's a more empowered perspective to start to get more to where you start to decide for yourself and believe less in someone else's theory. Let's see, next question. What is a typical day like for you? Typical day consists of waking up, usually whenever I wake up, and then drinking water, maybe taking some supplements, meditating, and then either making an elixir or eating breakfast. Then after that, usually doing qigong for a couple of hours. Then after that, usually eat a meal. And then depending on what time it is, I might do some work. I might, get on the computer, make a video, do a podcast, do emails, get some stuff done. And then that usually worked for a while. And then somewhere I'll have another meal, hang out with friends, meet up with someone, run errands, read a book, watch a movie. Let's see. Now that I'm thinking, I'm like, what do I do? Where do these days go? That's pretty much it. I mean, it focuses around the things that I'm interested in, and that's pretty much my day. And then I usually at night maybe watch a movie, do some magnesium oil, maybe do a little stretching, and go to sleep. And then wake up and do it again. That's sort of a typical day. Obviously, if I'm like have a meeting or I'm going to meet up with someone, or if I'm going to, travel or do something or, whatever, that's obviously going to change things a little bit. Next question is, do you still play guitar? Yes, but not as much as I'd like, and I will definitely be playing a lot more very soon. So soon, what my day will be like, it will be wake up, meditate, eat, work out, eat, work, play guitar for like 4 hours, and then chill out. That's really what it will be. Again, more in the future, because I haven't really been into the guitar in a while, and I really just want to get back to it from kind of like a deep feeling level. Like I just need to get on that. What are some of my favorite movies? Let's see. The Matrix, awesome. The first Matrix really good, kind of downhill. I heard about this movie from a friend of mine called Dangerous Method. It's about Freud and Jung. I would definitely check out that movie. What else have I watched recently? Watched The Prestige, The Illusionist. Pretty much any Christopher Nolan film is going to be good. Trying to think what else I watched. think I watched Beavis and Butthead Do America recently. That was pretty silly. I downloaded a bunch of movies recently. I'm just totally drawing a blank on what they were. Definitely look. I saw Ted recently. That movie was pretty funny. Um, yeah, that's all that's coming to mind right now. For some reason, I'm just drawing a blank. Let's see. Questions popping in. Do you have any thoughts on using food grade hydrogen peroxide internally? Be careful. Do your research. From what I understand, I've never done it personally. I know I've just accidentally swallowed some and it burned, because I usually just rinse my mouth with it. But yeah, just definitely do research and be careful. And I don't really have any experience with doing that, so I can't comment more than that. What is your take on free will? I think the concept itself is kind of, I don't know, to me it's kind of an illusion, or it's kind of silly. I think the whole duality between free will and determinism is sort of silly. It's just like, why overcomplicate things? But then again, some people just like to talk about talking about things, or think about thinking about things. So I mean, it has benefits to think about to a certain point, but it's kind of like we have free will to a degree, but we also have all of our programming that we're sort of constrained within. So there's that. I mean, we have the whole nature and nurture aspect. We have our genetic, hereditary predispositions, and we have all the things that we're exposed to when we're in that imprinting stage. We have all of our life experiences, which sort of give us a certain point of view on the world. So within that point of view, we have a certain frame of reference and a certain series of actions that are going to be acceptable. Now, obviously, we can move outside of our comfort zone. We can grow and expand and be more of what we are. But I think it's less about free will and determinism, and more so about being ourselves and expressing ourselves, and in regularly growing and expanding and being more of who we are. To me, that's more of a how I look at it. And you could say it's your free will whether you want to do that or not. In that case, perhaps yes. But like, let's say you grew up in an environment where everyone told you, you suck, you're never going to do anything, life is hard, people like us don't excel, people like our family don't succeed, people like in our family, we only make this amount of money, or we only eat this kind of food. And you have all this stuff in your head. So that can either make you say, well, I guess that's true, I guess that's it for me. Or it can make you say, you know what, fuck that. I'm going to take all of those things and I'm going to transcend all of it. So either way, you have those are going to be the the possibilities. Or you can just yo-yo back and forth your whole life. That's obviously another possibility. Or you can live in a drugged out, drunken stupor your whole life and just never be, facing that program altogether. But really, it's free will and determinism are one and the same to me. That's my answer. Free will and determinism is like the same thing. It was just probably confusing. I wish I could just go back to philosophy class, because I had this one really uptight anal professor, and I wish I could just go back and say that and just see the look on his face and just watch him be like totally confused. It's because like we in our mind we have this either or black and white addiction. We can understand that things are usually either or, both, and neither all at the same time. Which I did that whole video on it, and I used the yin-yang symbol to explain that concept. And it just depends on how you're raised. If you're raised in an environment that's based on that logic, then you see it. If you're raised in a modern monotheistic, like hardcore religious environment, then that's gonna make no sense whatsoever. Like, I know some people hear what I say and they're just like, this dude is crazy. This makes no sense. It either is this or it isn't. It's like, that's how you have to see the world. That's how you have to see the world. That's fine. Like, but we're all in a different place. Let's see. I'm trying to go back. Keeps going all the way back to the beginning. Have I read the Dialogues of Plato or Philosophy of a Modern Encounter by Wolfe? I have not. Haven't read either of those books. Just froze up. There we go. Oh, it keeps going all over the place. Which is better for immunity, reishi or chaga? Probably chaga, I would say. If I had to pick one, I could only do one, and it was like immune function, probably go with chaga. Just because it has, the betulinic acid, as well as the triterpenes, the polysaccharides. It's pretty potent stuff. I mean, both are great, but if I had to pick just one, it might be that. Let's see. I'm trying to go back. Do you enjoy or write poetry? Could you recommend where we might find thought-provoking poems? The last poet that I ever read that was really interested in was Saul Williams, and some of his stuff for me is like hit or miss, but that's the last person I ever read that was enjoyable. Other than that, like Chinese stuff for me is like up my alley, but it's been a while since I've really been interested in that. I definitely had my phase where I just filled up notebooks and wrote poetry like all the time, but I don't really write it too much anymore, although it's another thing I want to get back into and want to reactivate within myself, because it's a great piece of the mind that is really a useful way of dealing with reality. It's a good sort of break from the like linear, logical sort of parts of our brain. So it's definitely a really good thing. So let's see, I gotta scroll back and find a question. It keeps scrolling me back. Oh yeah, what do I have any experience with piracetam? If so, what do you think of it? I haven't tried piracetam, but I have tried aniracetam, and I enjoyed the sensations that I felt from it. It was pretty cool. It really kind of chilled me out and like an interesting sense of focus. It's not something I would take every day for like the long term, but I definitely took it maybe 5 times and enjoyed the sensations. And I think it's a little more. It just depends on where you're at. If you need that sort of thing all the time, then definitely I would rock it out. But I'm actually putting together a brain formula right now that's more herb nutrition based. So that's my go-to thing, just because aniracetam, I mean, it is what it is. But to me, it's like a fun thing. So I've just took it a couple times before I had to give a talk, or before I had to like really do stuff, and enjoyed the sensations. What are you sipping on? Kombucha. Next question. Do you concern yourself with phytoestrogens such as flax seeds, as there are so many anti-flax phytoestrogens nowadays? What's your opinion and experience? Yeah, I usually try to minimize phytoestrogens as much as possible, meaning you don't really eat them too much. I think it's probably a beneficial thing just because we're already so inundated with it in our environment. It's not to say that having some flax seeds now and again, or eating some phytoestrogen food now and again, is bad. No, but if you're going to make it the predominant element of your diet, it's probably not a good idea. But if you're someone who's estrogen deficient, if you're a menopausal woman who needs more estrogen, then phytoestrogens are a great thing. So it's not necessarily that it's bad, it's just, well, it's not really a good fit for me. It's not really a good fit for where I'm at. So that's how I think about it. I don't really stress out or worry about it too much anymore. But next question is, have you ever tried Taoist salt? Never have. I think I've heard of it like a couple years ago, and saw that someone was selling it for like pretty expensive, but never tried it, never went for it. So that's my answer for that. Next question is, how can I better connect to the yin energy? How can I understand what it really is? Question of a lifetime. I mean, you can spend the rest of your life trying to figure out what yin energy really is. So I would say meditations that can connect to the earth, because I mean that's what yin is about, the earth, you know. It's that support of nature. So I would just look at that and learn to relax, rejuvenate, and recharge, because that's a yin function. And let's see, just learning to maybe be more creative, more in tune with our intuition, more calm, relaxed, reserved. Just starting to develop these sorts of characteristics in combination with like a qigong practice that's concerned with connecting to the earth. I think that could definitely start moving in that direction. Next question is, have you considered making any videos of something that you eat instead of an elixir? Yeah, but it's not really what I'm about, because I'm just afraid that if I start making videos about what I eat, then that's what my videos will be about, meaning what I eat, and that's what the conversation will be. And to me, that's just not really that important. Meaning, if I can make a video about a concept that can create a more profound shift in perspective, to me, that's more important than me like cooking an omelet on camera, if that makes sense. Then there's the people who are like, oh, I thought you were vegan, I thought you were raw. Don't you know that cooking destroys enzymes? It's like, please. But hopefully people who watch my videos aren't really like that. But I just don't really I want that to be what I'm about. I'm more about principles, meaning I eat what I eat based on these principles, and here's these principles, and you eat what is best for you based on the principles. Whether you're vegan, vegetarian, raw, omnivore, paleo, primal, whatever it is, because it's your choice, it's your body, it's your life, it's not mine, and I'm not responsible for it. But on my membership site, I will be posting recipes that I really enjoy. And one of them is going to be a video called like how to like be healthy and lose weight by eating cookies. And that's going to be one video series that's going to mess with people a little bit, because it's basically going to be particularly about that. Sorry, and there's going to be some, recipe videos and things like that that will be more focused on that. Just because it's a smaller environment, it's a controlled private environment, and for me, I feel more comfortable sharing those things in that environment. Because when you put something out on YouTube, that's everyone sees it, and you get comments every day from. I mean, I get the weirdest comments every day. I get angry comments, hateful comments, negative comments every day. On top of really positive, nice, happy, warm, kind, cool comments every day as well. So it's just, I don't know. I've gone on long enough about that, but hopefully it answers your question. Next question: are you an indigo child? Probably not. I don't think so. Been called a lot of things, but definitely never that. Let's see. I think I missed a couple questions. Do you have any techniques on getting rid of anger or negative emotions? Yeah, probably just dealing with them. Probably just figuring out, well, why am I angry? And who am I angry at? Myself? Other people? The world? And starting to remember that it's kind of our choice. Like, instead of getting mad and be like, well, he said this and he did that and it makes me so mad, say like, well, that's what they said, that's what happened. Do I need to get mad about this? Do I want to get mad about this? Am I choosing to get mad about this? And it start to move more into that frame where you take responsibility for your feelings instead of making someone else responsible for your feelings. And obviously that's a process, because we all have things that annoy us, that get on our nerves, that, we all are human, so we're subject to these different emotions. It's not about being this perfect controlled, emotionless being. It's just about finding balance and learning to just live your life more comfortably. So hopefully that answers that question. Next question is, why do you think metaphysics are so frowned upon by society? Do you want to know my honest answer? My honest opinion? It's probably not what you expect. I can tell you that. So just take a second and think about what you think I'm going to say. Like, what's my answer going to be? Just have an idea in your head and think about it. And I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be that. So, exactly. So the question again was, why do I think metaphysics are so frowned upon by society? Well, I guess first, it depends on what you mean by metaphysics, but without going on that tangent, I'll just be general. Basically, I think it's so frowned upon because of shitty marketing. That's my answer. 2 words: shitty marketing, poor communication. That's why I think it's one of the main overarching reasons. On top of that, obviously, if it's a extremely conservative Christian environment, they frown upon pretty much everything. So it's not really that's obviously a thing as well. Like, if the people running our country are Christian conservatives, obviously they're going to frown upon anything that's not that. So that's something which should be addressed as well. And by, poor communication or bad marketing, do I mean fake people trying to capitalize on it? That's part of it as well. Yeah, it gives it a bad name. You have people who are charlatans, people who are just full of it, or people who are just insane, and that gives it a bad name, which, if it's already fringe, it's just easy to persecute and downgrade. But other than that, I really just mean like poor communication. And I think it's just because this is my opinion, most of metaphysics is junk, is crap, and is fluff and a waste of time. That's my personal opinion. Most of it is stuff that doesn't really help people. Most of it is stuff that makes people seem weird, makes people seem ungrounded, makes people not really get shit done, makes people not really be better human beings. And honestly, that's true for a lot of things. I mean, it's kind of, we can look at the 80-20 thing and say that 80% of our results comes from 20% of our efforts. So we can look at, well, if we had this whole sum total, then, well, yeah, most of it's going to be useless, but maybe 20% of it, or a small portion, is actually going to be useful. So that's my honest opinion on it, and that's why I'm not really, I don't really get on board with a lot of the metaphysic, like new agey sort of stuff. Like, I don't, because people are like, oh, brother, you're a light worker, brother, you're a healer. It's like, no, I'm a guy doing what I like, expressing myself. Like, and if there are consequences that help people, that's awesome. That's great. But I'm not a healer. I'm not a light worker. I'm not a 2012 soldier to like change the world. I mean, it's not really what it's about, because it's much simpler than that. It's much more minute and on a much more grounded earthly level than that. It's not to downgrade or dismiss any of those bigger things, because if that's what inspires someone and gets someone going, and that's what inspires them and gets them going, it just doesn't really do it for me. So for me, I just think a lot of stuff that's metaphysical is just presented in a really poor way, and it has a lot of fluff, and it's not really helpful for people. It might be a lot of stuff like, oh, if you just visualize it, you'll have everything you want. And it's like, no, not really. That's not really what it's about. And people say, oh, well, I put it on my vision board and then it happened. Like, okay, that works. I mean, people definitely have success stories, but there's more to the equation. You can visualize having stuff all day long, but unless you actually do something, unless you actually take action, unless you actually like work your ass off and make something happen, it's not gonna happen. Meaning it's like, unless you're actually willing to put in the time, the energy, the effort, the discipline, the determination, the focus, the will, the drive, the courage, unless you're willing to do all of those things, then nothing's really going to happen. I think people just want to be lazy. They sort of see spirituality, it's like a cop out. It's like, well, I can just sit here and meditate and then go sit on the couch and hit the bong, or go sit on the couch and play video games, or go chill and, you know, just do what I've always done, and that's just going to handle everything. It's like that's a good first step. You know, you're starting to get clear in your mind, you're starting to activate your imagination, you're starting to get more involved, but that's one piece. What about the actions that need to happen? And it's kind of like, if we visualize something so clearly and we believe that it's going to happen, then unless we're taking action, then we don't really believe that it's going to happen. We don't really see the vision clear enough. And I think people forget that a lot. And, you know, humans by nature, sometimes we're just lazy. Sometimes we just want to have everything handed to us on a silver platter. We think, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm just going to sit on my couch. It's like, well, in order to be a millionaire, in order to make a lot of money, you're going to have to help a lot of people. You're going to have to communicate clearly. You're going to have to, you know, offer value to the world. There's just so much more to the picture. Which, you know, is a huge tangent, and to come back to the point, that's why I feel like metaphysics is frowned upon. Maybe because the society that we grew up in is like usually pretty conservative, pretty linear based. And then also things are just presented poorly. Things are explained poorly. People just fluff up things and are really out of touch with tangible physical reality. Really just, it's kind of like this. This is the last point that I'll say. If person number one has this insight or has this wisdom, and then person number 5,000 is writing a book about it, or lecturing about it, or telling the world about it, that original insight went through 4,999 other people before it got to the 5,000th person. So that means a whole bunch was lost, a whole bunch was distorted, a whole bunch was just discombobulated and just totally messed up between all those different people. So that's definitely something to be considered when looking at any of these different things. And for me, I've definitely been so knee-deep in things metaphysical for years because I worked at a library. So I read all of the books in the metaphysical weird section, and the new age section, and the occult section, just immersed in it while watching all the documentaries, and, you know, spending weekends, whole 2 days watching documentary after documentary, disclosure project after disclosure project, you know, all the different documentaries about all these different things. And then definitely was knee deep in that and realized, like, well, you know, just invested all this time and energy. What's changed? You know, what's useful? What's practical? What's actually going to help me achieve my goals? So that's like a 38-hour answer to that question, but I think it's a pretty valid and important thing, because people get carried away on this stuff and waste a lot of time and energy on it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could keep going for a long time on that on that topic, just because I've been in it for so long. But really, again, I think more so what it comes down to is, who am I? What do I want? How can I accomplish this? If these metaphysical things can help you do that, then great. If they don't, then it's obviously just a waste of time. It's just more entertainment. It's just fluff. So really, I think that's what's more important, is figuring out, what do I really need to do? What am I really here to do? What's really my purpose? What's really my mission? What's the next step for me? Because we all kind of have this stuff floating around in our head that's like, I should do that, or maybe I could call that person, or I could do this, or I could write this, or do that. But we don't do it. We kind of know what the next step is, but we don't do it. So I think really just getting on the next step, and then the next step, and then moving forward and figuring out, and really just like, it sounds crass and it sounds simple, but it really just comes down to like getting shit done, doing something, like figuring out what you want, figuring out what you want in your life, and then going to work on it, making it happen, moving forward on that plan, on the vision, on the dream, the goal, the ideal, and just embarking upon that journey. To me, I feel like that's one of the most important things. I mean, it's fine to learn about all these other things and know about them, but at the end of the day, you still got to interact with people. You still got to have relationships. You still got to pay your bills. You still got to eat. You still got to drive in your car. You still have all these other things that you have to do in your life. So worrying about Nibiru or cosmic awakening or cosmic enlightenment, is it helping you fulfill these things which you have to do? Maybe, maybe not. Now, people at this point, for some reason, think I'm this like rigid materialist, like, oh, spirituality's bad, it's stupid, or you shouldn't pursue anything that society thinks is weird. No, you should pursue whatever you want. Who cares what society tells you is good or bad or weird or normal? It's about what you want and what works for you and what creates the life that feels right for you. Because what I'm saying here is just my opinion, it's my take, it's what has formed my decisions. So again, it's up to you to say, well, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that, this makes sense to me, this doesn't make sense to me. It's really more so what it's about. Because at the end of the day, all metaphysical stuff, all of it all added up doesn't compare to the power of an individual. Because each one of us are connected to the cosmos. Each one of us has as much access to cosmic insight as Jesus, or as Lao Tzu, or as Barack Obama, or as David Wolfe, or Terence McKenna, or Alan Watts, or Patanjali, or Iyengar, or any of these people. All of us can access cosmic wisdom in the same fashion. It's just a matter of saying, well, where's the block? Where is it not flowing? Why is my mind not allowing this stuff to come through? Where is the block? Where is the poison arrow? Where is the spell? Where is the distortion in the energy? It really comes down to that. And everything else at that point really just starts to take care of itself. Interesting question. Is he really comparing Jesus with the rest of them? Really, the point is figures which people look up to and which people think have an enlightened perspective. That's pretty much what I'm saying. If you want to take it any further than that, that's your choice, your responsibility. But that's pretty much all I was saying. So yeah. Next question. Could salt be the shift gears? Could salt be the cause of water retention, fluctuation in the lower extremities? I'm not laughing at your question. I'm just laughing about how I just went on for like so long about this, and then sorry. But yeah, if you have salt, some people do have metabolism issues with salt, and it can cause edema, definitely. I would say the quality of the salt is important. Just like Morton's iodized salt, probably not a good idea. If it's like Celtic sea salt or a good high quality sea salt or pink salt, it's probably a better way to go. But if you're a person who has issues with that, then remove salt and see if that works. Obviously, if you're taking like processed foods that are already salted, that can be the source as well. So I would just look at that and examine those things, because obviously I don't know everything you eat. I don't know your life, your lifestyle, your history. So that's about what I can say. Yeah. So kombucha is almost gone. Let's see. Who's got another question? Or do I have to scroll back? Do you consume canned sardines? I have before. You can get some that I think are just like in olive oil or just in like mustard or something. They don't necessarily have anything in them. But I've consumed some that were like high quality. I don't remember the brand, but I got them at the health food store. Um, and that was like when I first started eating meat again. That was like one of the first things because it was like easy and it was a good intro. But I don't do it on a regular basis. But I used to put them on a salad and just put the whole can on there and like mix it up. That was always pretty good. Next question is, wait, that was the same question. Do you have any detox methods for it? I'm not sure what you mean, but I guess I would say eat fermented foods, drink kombucha, take enzymes. Should take care of it. Next question. Yeah, since it's canned, I guess I didn't even think about that. Yeah, just probably those methods, and if it's like a real concern, probably clay, because that'll typically bind to stuff in your digestive tract. Have you or would you try ghost pepper? Yeah, I've tried it. I actually have a jar of it in my cabinet. It's really spicy. I mean, it's like 1,000,000 and something heat units. It's no joke. But I don't really mess with it too much anymore just because I went through a phase where I was like kind of yin deficient or yang excessive, so hot spicy food was kind of contraindicated for me, so I kind of laid off of it. But yeah, I have eaten and it's really hot. Next question is, have you seen the raw colas? I have not. Not sure what you mean, but if you want to post a link, then I will definitely check it out. Let's see. Next question is it bad to take Mucuna long term? Probably not necessarily bad. I wouldn't. I mean, Mucuna's pretty well safe herb, but for me, I feel like it's probably best cycled. Take some time off, and lay off of it, and yeah. Oh yeah. You mean will it mess up or censored up? I mean, will it censored up your dopamine levels? um, I don't think it'll downregulate your dopamine or like keep your body from producing it. I've never seen anything that suggests that because it has L-DOPA, which your body uses to produce dopamine because it's just an amino acid. So it could maybe imbalance you if you already have high levels. Like for me, sometimes I take Mucuna and I feel a little weird afterwards. I feel a little imbalanced. So it could be a little bit much for some people. But it's just, again, you got to pay attention to your body. If you take it and you feel good, then cool. If you take it and you start to feel bad, then it's time to stop. Let's see. Next question is, what is your overall goal with your work? College professional, or wait, college professor, professional speaker, just curious. Colleges probably wouldn't want me there because I'll say a bunch of subversive stuff that's going to make people want to do what they want to do. But I mean, I would lecture at a college for sure. Yeah, as far as speaking, that's the next phase in my plan. I'm going to be doing more of that. I've done a couple of talks here locally in the last couple of months, and I'm setting up more over the next few months. And I'd like to start doing a talk like every week, honestly, just because for me it's fun and I don't know, it's fun to do, so I want to do it more. So from there, I don't know, I just would like to keep growing my business, keep growing my company, keep growing as a person, keep creating high value informational videos, and then build up my other website, which is not released yet, but basically building all of those things up and having fun and just growing and learning, and wherever that goes, wherever that leads, we'll see. Next question is, do you agree that standard dish soaps are hazardous to your health? Probably. It's been so long since I've really paid any attention or used them. I guess it just depends on what's in it and what the ingredients are. For dish soap, I just use Dr. Bronner's and just dilute it with water. That's all I use for dish soap. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy, or you can just get the natural stuff at the health food store. There was another question about, like, what was it? Oh yeah, do you use any special type of dish detergent or laundry detergent? For dish detergent, I've tried natural stuff. I've tried making our own, but it didn't really work too well. So just use like natural stuff that I get at the health food store. For laundry detergent, definitely we make our own. My girlfriend actually makes it. Just really simple, cheap stuff that keeps our clothes clean and fresh. But that's all gonna be another part of my membership site, which I said that a few other times by just coincidental questions, I guess. There's going to be a whole video series like how to make your own toothpaste, how to make your own mouthwash, how to make your own shampoo, how to make your own, not soap, but how to make your own laundry detergent. So just because those are cool things I've been playing around with over the few months, just because, I mean, I don't know, why not? So that'll be on there. So, but that's what I use now. So, does fruit lose its nutrients after being cut up and stored in the fridge? Yeah, I mean it'll oxidize faster if it's cut, but definitely keeping it in the fridge will slow that down. But you pretty much just want to eat it as soon as possible. It's not bad; it's not going to kill you, but you know it will oxidize a little bit. Do you know if Brain On is a raw product or heat extracted? I don't think it's heat extracted. I think it's like this window refraction dehydration extraction process. It's one of those real technical fancy processes, and I'm pretty sure it's a low temp. I don't know if it's technically raw, but it's definitely low temp from what I understand about it. But either way, it's a phenomenal product, and I really, really like that product. Let's see. Tried Brain On with vodka? No, but what was that Zach? Is that Zach talking about Brain On with vodka? So I remember Zach Martin Kilgore was talking about he made a vodka cocktail with Brain On, which sounds pretty cool. I'm not a huge vodka fan, but I mean, rock it out. Sounds cool. I haven't tried it, but definitely I would definitely dig it. Let's see. Can you talk about MSM? Are you still using it? Yes, I really like MSM. Took a big teaspoon of it earlier because I got done working out. It was a couple. I had an intense session yesterday, another intense today. My legs were like pretty wiped, and then I have another session tomorrow morning. So I'm like trying to minimize the soreness. So that's MSM has been definitely digging that a lot lately. Let's see, next question. I mean the MSM eye drops. I still have them. I don't really use them too much unless I feel like my eyes are getting dropped or dry and I need them. But I don't really use them on the long term. Next question. How does one know if they are yin or yang? How does one know if they are yin deficient or yang excessive? For me, probably go to an acupuncturist who can read your pulse, look at your tongue, look at your body, ask you some questions. That's the most reliable way to do it. That's what I would recommend. That's pretty cool. This other person says, my dog relies on MSM. She's 17 and can't walk without her pill every day. Wow. I mean, that's pretty cool to hear. And if I have, or when I have my own pet, my own dog, they'll definitely be on MSM, be on herbs, and probably, hopefully, live to be quite old. Next question is, what's the most important herb to take consistently for overall improved health? I mean, that's a huge question, but I guess I would say gynostemma. I mean, it's easy, it's cheap, tastes good, does a lot of things. So I would probably just say gynostemma without getting, I mean, if you want to be general, then that's probably what I'd say because it's such a potent adaptogen. Next question is, I'm getting new glasses. Any tips on any good sites you know for cool frames? I don't know, honestly. I'm probably gonna be getting new glasses soon too. I'm just kind of like getting kind of tired of these frames, but I don't know at this point. So I just got these at like Lens Crafters or something. So that's what I did. As far as frames in the future, not sure. We will see. What is a good way to cope with food cravings? Probably to eat, well, within reason, depending on what you're craving, but like eat whatever it is that you want to eat, but the best quality version of it. That's what I would say. Um, any thoughts on the benefits one can receive from doing pull-ups? I'm actually a fan of doing pull-ups and chin-ups. I've just started doing it again and doing them, once or twice a week. Definitely just wanting to fill out my upper body just to maintain balance, because with the qigong and stuff, it's really intense on the legs. So just to maintain balance, I'm gonna do some upper body stuff. So I definitely really like pull-ups and chin-ups, and huge fan of body weight exercises in general. Next question is, do you still use Neuroprogrammer? There are so many exercises. Do you incorporate them all? Honestly, I haven't used most of them. I've used a handful, and I still use them from time to time. They're on my iPod, my iPad, and I still use them. I've been using another software recently, just testing it out. It's called Equisync. So I just to see what it's about and try it out. I've been doing that for a couple of months, but still do use some of the Neuroprogrammer systems, and I think it's an amazing program. And there's tons of things on there, but it's just really like, what do you want? What do you need to focus on? Just go for that. Next question is, have you ever tried the 5-finger shoes? If so, what type do you have? I have 3 pairs of 5 fingers. I have the ones with the kangaroo leather. I have the original Sprints with the strap. And then I think I have the KSOs with the strap and the sort of sock. So I have those 3. For hiking, you should probably just go to the store near you, try them on, because you want to get sized, and just figure out what's going to be the most comfortable. You just have to really pay attention to where you're going when you're hiking, which is actually a good thing. Next question is, have you ever used a float tank? I've used it once when I was in Venice Beach, and it was pretty fun. It wasn't the best situation because I went like late afternoon, and I was hungry, and I was like ready to eat dinner. So I didn't really get the best meditation ever, but I was in for about an hour and a half, and it was pretty fun. I'd like to go back again first thing early in the morning when I can meditate better. So yeah, it's a fun thing, and if they were closer, I'd probably do it more, but there's not really that many close to me. Next question is, what is your favorite quote from The Matrix? I do not remember. It's been a while. Plus, I've been going for like 2 hours, so I'm starting to forget. Next question. How many servings of gynostemma in each bag how many servings of gynostemma in each bag? I think it says it on the website. I remember I figured it out on the website. If you look on the gynostemma page, it'll say, I think I can pull it up. It'll say on there, because I figured it out. It's a lot. It's a lot of servings. That's why it's such like a ridiculously good deal. Let's see. Yeah, so let's see. I'll post it. There you go. So we're talking about HyperionHerbs.com on the gynostemma page. This person was asking how many servings are in each bag of gynostemma. So each serving of gynostemma can make like 2 or 3 cups of tea. So that means basically it can range anywhere from 56 to like 168 depending on how many times you reuse it. So for 25 bucks, it can last months. And you really need just a small pinch per cup of tea. I know the bag says a tablespoon, but I'm gonna change that because that's a lot. It makes a really strong cup of tea. So I usually just use like a few pinches, and then you'll see how much it expands. You'll be shocked. You'll be like, oh, there's really not much in there. 10 minutes later, your whole cup's full of gynostemma. It's pretty interesting. The website is right here. I'm typing it right below the video. You can see it just right there. Does it hurt if you use more? No, it's just the flavor will be stronger and the effects will be stronger. But you can use more. You can drink pretty much as much as you want. I've drank a lot of gynostemma and it's pretty nice. Let's see. There was another question. Oh yeah, how should you store the used gynostemma if you plan to reuse it? If you're going to reuse it quickly, you can leave it on the refrigerator. If not, or you can leave it on the stove. If it's going to be some time, put it in the refrigerator, bring it back out, heat it back up, and you're good to go. So that's how you can do that, and it's pretty easy and will last quite a while. Next question, and honestly the last question, because I'm pretty tired and had like a pretty intense workout earlier, so I'm definitely like need to chill. Next question is, or last question, how often do you meditate and for how long? Every day almost. Sometimes it'll be a set, like I'll sit down or lay down and do maybe 20 or 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes. Some days not at all. But especially in the Qigong workout, there's meditation in there. I mean, if I circle walk, that's meditation. So that's like 15 to 30 to 40 minutes of meditation right there. And then doing Qigong for 2 hours, that's almost like 2 hours of meditation. So it just depends on how you want to look at it. And then, it just depends. Sometimes my mind is really all over the place and I'm like tense. And sometimes I feel really relaxed and calm. So it's easier. So that answers that. And last question, what is really the point of meditation? There's a lot of points of meditation, but I guess the main thing for me would be learning to calm the mind so that you can make your mind work for you instead of against you, so that your body works more efficiently and effectively, so you naturally have more energy, so you're more intelligent, so you're more creative, so you're more focused, so you're more aware, more present. Also, it just feels good. I mean, it's just good for you. But it's a skill that needs to be learned to be able to focus and be present and be aware with what's going on and be in tune with your body. To me, it's an important basic skill. It's not something you have to pursue because it's going to make you enlightened or turn you into a cosmic immortal. That's a totally different thing, but just for those basic, simple things, that's really what I think is really great. Last question, who are your favorite YouTubers? I don't know. Honestly, I don't really watch anyone. The people that really inspire me, that I really pay attention to, are people that I know personally. I don't really watch people on YouTube. I don't know. I kind of just do my own thing and try to just focus on that. I'll occasionally see people post things on Facebook, but there's no one really that I follow or keep up with. Other than Ed Bassmaster, he's pretty funny. I'm subscribed to his stuff. So like I'm subscribed to like funny YouTube channels. But as far as like philosophy people or nutrition or herb or health people, I don't really follow anyone. Other than like people I know and people who are my teachers. So hopefully that answers that question. Oh man. All right, so it's been 2 hours, 9 minutes. Pretty great Q&A. I feel like we covered some good stuff and had some good questions and went on some cool tangents, definitely. So thanks everyone for tuning in and for watching and submitting questions. and watching me drink kombucha, which is homemade and pretty delicious. It's like 11 something here now, so I'm probably going to go chill and then eventually go to bed soon because I got to wake up and go do Qigong in the morning. Um, so, yeah, again, if you missed anything or you came in late or you had to leave, the Q&A is going to be posted on my YouTube channel probably tonight or tomorrow, so you'll be able to see everything. So yeah, thanks again. Thanks again for watching and for all the cool questions and for supporting what I do and for being cool and just being yourself and yeah, all that stuff. Just really cool to me that we have the ability now to connect people and to actually connect people who are cool and hit it off and vibe well together. And you know, I don't know, it's just really a cool thing. I'm continuously amazed by all these different things that are happening. So good night for now, and I'll talk to you soon.